Thank you, Oscar. So I'm Tristan, I'm production manager for the Paris CR studio, and so really happy to see you here today. So for the second workshop that we are hosting regarding one of our internal production, and what a production, as this is with the most famous museum in the world, if I can say, Le Louvre. So just before we kick off the project presentation itself, just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of the agenda and what's going to happen next. So first we have Antoine, who will be speaking about the creative strategy and the overview of the project, to speak about the 5 lenses that have been produced regarding Egypt Augmented. Then we will narrow it down and focus on the Luxor Obelisk taking place in the Cour Carrée of the Musée du Louvre, and I will be giving a quick introduction regarding the technical choices that we made here. We then have Florent, our concept artist, who will be speaking about the storyboarding part. Adrien, our 3D designer, will be giving a focus on the sculpting and the modeling of the obelisk itself. We then have Simon, our VFX designer, who will be speaking about the reveal sequence as an introduction for the workshop itself. Then Lena, our AR engineer, will be speaking about the custom location AR fallback that we designed, so once again as an introduction for the workshop later on. And then we have Max, our QA engineer, who will be giving some tips regarding remote custom location AR testing. So yes, basically that's it for me. So we'll pass the mic to Antoine to start with the introduction.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Christophe. Welcome. So yes, my name is Antoine, and I'm very pleased to give you an overview of the project, because you will work on a part of the project, most impressive part, but we did a lot with the Louvre. We started the collaboration 1 year ago. The big challenge for us was to enter this big museum. This, there is a lot of department, and they don't know anything about AR. So our first goal was to introduce AR to them, and we are super lucky to have a warm welcome from Vincent Rondeau, who is the Egyptologist in chief at the Louvre. And he was really impressed by the technology, and so that's also thanks to him that we can develop those experiences. So we developed this program with all design, etc., to unveil the mystery of ancient Egypt at the Louvre in augmented reality. Very straightforward, but behind this there's a lot of work, as you can imagine. At the end of the day, 5 lenses were developed. 3 lenses were directly inside the collection, which is the very first, to be able to be present in the Louvre, in the collection. The obelisk, of course, is outside the Louvre, and you will deep dive into it. We developed also a face lens, a mask, that it's accessible from anywhere, because it's a face lens, and it was also a great work with the Egyptologists to recreate those 2 masks and be accurate historically. So just because we are not working on this today, I will not spend a lot of time on it, but just to give you an aperçu of those experiences. The first one was designed on the Naos of Amasis. It's a big stone, a big masterpiece in the center of the big room in the Louvre, and we recreate the hieroglyph, we recreate the door, and what behind the door is the statue of Osiris appear, etc. So it was really about make this block of stone alive again, readable, and interactive for the audience, and so it's live from October the 18th. The second experience is the Karnak King List. It's a big room with 3 walls, as you can see on the image, but the color is gone, the drawing is gone. It's hard to realize that it was super colorful, super interesting, and they tell you a lot of story around. So we recreate this with a nice effect and content around those kings, and it was a great experience to develop, especially to be accurate, use the right pigment color with the archive of the Louvre, etc. So super interesting project to work on. The third piece inside the Louvre is the masterpiece of the Zodiac of Dendera. It's a big stone display on the ceiling of the Louvre, so it's hard to comprehend, hard to read, because you have to look up and the composition of the sculpture is pretty complex. So thanks to AR, we decompose, we highlight, we animate everything. So now it's interactive, readable, and you can understand the content behind this. And it was very also a great project to work on. Those projects are triggered by QR code, so we also developed this kind of display. And if you go to the Louvre now, next to those pieces, you will have a dedicated QR code and a call to action to use AR inside the Louvre, which is a first, and we are super happy to be present there. The last one before the Obelisk is the masks. So as you can see, we really use the archive and the reference the Louvre share with us to be historically accurate, but we add the little twist, the little snap twist, because they are animated. You can see your teeth, the eyes are expressive, etc. So this is an historical journey, but also a snap usage with those face lens that once again are accessible from anywhere in your carousel all around the world. And to finish this in big intro, the Obelisk. Actually, it was the first initial conversation, because when we discussed with the Louvre, it was during the Champollion year. You know, they celebrate the 200 years of the discovery of hieroglyph, and it was a big exposition at the Louvre around Champollion, Jean-François Champollion. And the Egyptologist told us that initially this obelisk was supposed, when Egypt gave it to France from Luxor, and it was shipped to Paris. Initially, Champollion wanted to have it inside the Louvre, in the center of the Cour Carrée, but for political reason, it ends up on the Place de la Concorde. So we wanted to fulfill the vision of Champollion. And you can see 22 meters high, beautiful obelisk. We used also the original base, which is with the baboons. And those baboons are curved, and it's displayed also inside the Louvre, so it's also historically accurate. So yes, that's it for the introduction, but the best to learn from is Vincent Rondeau, the Egyptologist. So I show you the movie and I drop the mic there.
Les anciens Égyptiens ne concevaient pas l'histoire comme nous la concevons, nous. Le quotidien d'un conservateur de musée, c'est de renseigner génération après génération les visiteurs sur ce qu'ont été les civilisations. Et ça, on voudrait pouvoir le raconter, le faire sortir de la pierre grâce à ces technologies de réalité augmentée. Avec ce partenariat entre Snapchat et le musée du Louvre, on va pouvoir rendre visible ce qui était invisible. Moi, c'est ça qui me paraît très important, c'est répondre à la curiosité du visiteur. On peut suggérer, grâce à l'image, une idée de ce qu'est un temple égyptien. Le naos d'Obelisk, qui est dans l'axe de cette salle, c'est là que les anciens Égyptiens concevaient que l'énergie divine était entretenue pour protéger le monde. Je dirais que ça ne demande qu'à apparaître. Cette chapelle des ancêtres présente une façon d'expliquer que le pouvoir royal est une théocratie absolue. Le roi est le descendant des dieux, est le fils des dieux. Le zodiaque de Dendera est un monument passionnant à tous les égards. Babylone, l'Égypte et le monde gréco-romain se retrouvent dans ce zodiaque. On peut évoquer ça, on peut le rendre sensible. Comme élément de médiation, comme élément d'explication au public, il y a un champ qui s'ouvre et qu'il faut vraiment explorer. Voilà un moyen supplémentaire de dévoiler l'Égypte ancienne à tous. Les textes qui couvrent l'obélisque de la Concorde sont à la gloire de Ramsès II, mais comprendre les hiéroglyphes, ça veut dire comprendre la civilisation égyptienne. Champollion, si vous voulez, c'est un personnage, il est celui qui comprend, celui qui crée les premières collections et celui qui enseigne. Puisque ce monument avait été fait pour être en façade d'un monument, lui, il était du parti, à l'époque, des architectes. Et il avait proposé la cour carrée en façade du Palais du Louvre. La réalité augmentée, ça nous rapproche considérablement avec un passé qui était réputé complètement perdu, complètement oublié.
So you see at the end of the movie, you see the Louvre logo, and just for your little story, when we start the collaboration, they were like, okay, we do a partnership, but you know, the Louvre, the brand, and it's not. Week after week, when they saw what we did, etc., they wanted to be really part, and it's really, at the end of the day, it's really like a partnership with Snap and the Louvre, and not Snap using the Louvre, etc. So we are super happy with that.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Antoine, for this wonderful introduction. And yes, as explained during the agenda, we're now giving a focus on the Luxor Obelisk AR experience, so taking place in the Cour Carré. And so just as a quick introduction in terms of production management and the technology that we use here, so we've been using the custom location AR template, which was the proper answer for a location-based experience such as. However, we have been facing many challenges here because, to be honest, it was not the ideal landscape to use the custom location AR template. There was just a few anchoring points on the fountain. It's a really wide space, but 8-meter diameters-ish. It's in outdoor, so with some light conditions that we obviously cannot control. There can be some reflectivity as well staying on the ground because even though there is no water on the fountain, there can be some water staying from the rain. There's also some kind of white dust that you can see and which creates reflectivity and which is obviously not ideal for detection. And there can be people staying on the border. So that's a lot of things to handle. So it was triggering well, however, it was not triggering 10 out of 10. So as we wanted to be inclusive and making sure that this experience would be working for anyone trying to use the experience, we came up with this answer of a fallback system, meaning that if the custom location AR template was not detected within 10 seconds, then we had a surface tracking, taking on and revealing the AR experience. So yes, basically that's it for this introduction, and now we'll pass the mic to Florent, who will be speaking about the concept design. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Florent, the concept designer on the project, and I'm going to present the different steps of the experience concept just before the production phase. The first work to be provided is a concept art. This is the main visual scene of the experience. This is not a key art or a style frame. This is the idea is to give us the most objective view of the scene, the most objective view of the object, and its dimension in relation to the chosen location. This is a good way, and we think the best solution to debate and tune our perception on the first impression of the project. A concept art is also a good first exercise in design and art direction, but in this particular case, because the Obelisk already exists here in Paris, we don't need to design it again, so I was able to use a 3D model of the Obelisk directly to create a composition in Photoshop and add, for example, some sand in the fountain or some lights. The next step is a storyboard. Technically, this is not the same kind of storyboard as was made for movies or animated cartoon using drawing techniques. This is also not a series of screenshots because you can see the rest of the environment. This is not the story of what you see on your screen. This is a user story because this document contains many information. For example, the animation of the elements and the way they are animated. For example, when the sand is falling down and when it's building the obelisk, all the graphic elements in the scene, such as buttons or icons, and even marketing and signage elements. And the storyboard and the concept art are indispensable for two reasons. The first is that it allowed our partners to observe the good progress of the project and to debate with us their vision. And the second reason is that it's used by the production team to build the experience. And finally, on this board you can see all the graphic assets that give the artistic direction of the experience. Today, in many UI visual style and communication, you can see minimalist approach with, for example, a flat colored light, but sometimes it can be boring, so we decided to keep realistic light and realistic textures and realistic shapes, and with a haptic rendering to which it reflects the material of the obelisk. So now I'm going to pass up to Adrien for the 3D process. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Florent, for your presentation. Hi, I'm Adrien, and I'm a 3D designer on this project. First, so after receiving the concept from Florent, the final concept, I go directly in modeling in Blender. For the baboon-shaped base, I use reference pictures. Once the high-density meshes are done, I duplicate them on the low-poly versions. And once those later are done, I unwrap the texture coordinates so in a proper way, so it can be useful for the shadows later on. Second step, so after exporting all the low-poly models from Blender, I import them inside the Substance Painter, and there I will do the texturing, painting, and also I will bake the high-density details onto the low-poly models. So once I'm pleased with the outcome in Painter, I export all the maps that will be used inside Lens Studio for the materials. So in Lens Studio, I import all the 3D assets, so the meshes and the textures maps, and link all together thanks to the materials. But I don't stop there in Lens Studio, so most of my work will be actually to create shaders and believable effects to display the obelisk, as you can see here. And there I will also work closely with the AI engineer, Lena, and that will create the triggers via scripts using the exposed parameters you can see framed in yellow here to change all the values for the reveal part. And that's it for my part, actually. The final experience has a lot more effects to it, and this is where comes our VFX designer, Simon, that will explain to you his magic. Thanks for your attention.
Hi everyone, I'm Simon, and I'm a visual effects designer. I'm gonna talk you through the work that I've done on this project. So yes, my main task on this project was creating the reveal sequence for the obelisk. So it's basically what you can see here with the obelisk building up from the ground. So it was mostly a mix of visual effects, VFX graph in Lens Studio and Material Editor, and that was the first pass was like building all these graphs, and then the second step was to animate all of them and put them all in this sequence that you can see on the right. So in Lens Studio we're using twins and to animate stuff. So what you can see on the right is a huge twin chain where it's like a lot of twins and animation, and we're just chaining all of them to create basically a cinematic. And I was also working hand in hand with the AR engineer to basically condition all of this animation so that they can appear at the right time when the custom location AR is recognized, and this kind of stuff. And also it was quite important on this project to keep an eye on the performance, because it was really a VFX heavy experience. So it was important to keep everything kind of optimized. For the reveal of the obelisk, we went for this build-up animation. So the idea was we have this sandfall kind of magically popping up from the sky. Basically, it helps building like the obelisk as if it was like huge pieces of sand just coming up from the ground. And I built this animation in Cinema 4D using the Fractal tool. And then I made a script that allowed me to export all of this. What you can see on the center is all of these are like different pieces of geometry, and the script allowed me to export all of them with specific animation, and then to have it imported in Lens Studio. Here you can see some of the different passes of the visual effects. So on the left you can see the sand falling. Then we have like the smoke kind of building up at the same time as the obelisk. And then smoke being emitted by the obelisk itself at the end. And we've got, you can see on the far right, we've got this kind of smoke, kind of tornado, vortex, and that surrounds you in the experience. And all of this was made just to create something kind of spectacular. And in total it was 13 VFX systems, which is quite a lot. And so you can see the result over here. So all of the VFX playing At the same time, obviously this is a bit much for some devices, so we worked with Lena, our AI engineer, to create a VFX fallback solution, which basically recognizes the device of the user, and then depending on the device we apply different configurations, so different amount of particles, and we enable, disable, so like all of the certain particle effects were not enabled when if by example you were using an iPhone 8 or this kind of stuff. We had like in total I think 5 different configurations, so from low end to top notch device. And most of my work was done also hand in hand with Lena, our AI engineer, and now I'll hand it over to her. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Lena, AI engineer on the project. So what about engineering? Where exactly do we need to write scripts in this experience? My colleagues talked about triggering animations, for example with the Obelisk, but there are other aspects. This is not an exhaustive list, but this is the main points where we needed scripting. Generally when we have an interface, when we have a UI in the experience, we need to write some scripts to handle actually the user experience, like when the user is going to be able to tap, when they tap, what do we show, etc. We also had on this project specifically as well, because it's with the Louvre, it's an international audience, we had to do some localization. So so-called internationalization is basically making it available in different languages, depending on the device language that we detect. Also, I worked on performance fallbacks. Simon talked about it a little bit. Like for example, this is what we show for low-end devices. There is no heavy VFX. We tend to keep a very minimal VFX aspect on the experience to make it working on low-end devices. But the focus of today is the custom location AR fallback that we specifically built for this experience. And to understand this, we need to understand what's custom location AR. I guess many of you know the landmark experience that you can build with Lens Studio. There is a list of monuments like Eiffel Tower, Buckingham Palace that you can build experiences around. And when you have this lens, it detects that you are in front of the Eiffel Tower and on the right location, so it triggers the experience. But what if you want to create an experience for a specific location that is not within the list? Well, you can use a custom location AR template, and it's defined as a hyper-local AR experience because it's a custom location. You use a lens called Custom Location Creator to scan a location, and then you plug it to the template on Lens Studio, and then you can start building around it. That's what we did with the fountain of La Cour Carrée. This is the scan we had. We scanned just a small portion of it, and we could start building around it. But the caveats with this template is that it needs a high-end device, it needs a stable network, so sometimes it doesn't work. And as I said, this lens was very, we were expecting a large audience, international audience, different kind of devices, different performance on devices, and we wanted to cover as many devices as possible. We wanted to make it available to the maximum number of people. So we thought it was a good candidate for writing an alternative. What if the experience doesn't trigger? We just don't show anything to the user. No, we want to actually show something. So the solution we put together is using a timer. So the timer starts at the beginning of the experience, when the search of the custom location AR starts. So your phone is looking for the fountain and trying to understand that they're on the right location. After 10 seconds, we decide that you probably won't have this experience showing because your phone doesn't allow you to do it. So we fall back on another solution that is more accessible to more devices, which is just surface tracking. So we start looking for a surface, and then we detect a surface, and then we show the experience. In that case, more devices show an experience, and then we end up covering much more, higher number of users. The experience looks like this. So, for example, here it detected a free surface in the fountain, and then it launched and triggered the Obelisk. If you don't know, you can tell. It's just that with the custom location AR, it's in the right, in the center of the fountain. But in this case, sometimes it pop somewhere else, but basically if you're pointing to the fountain, you will have this feel that you have the obelisk showing on the right location. So basically this is a hybrid solution, custom location AR plus surface tracking. And that was something that Max had to test, among other things. And I will leave the floor to Max, who will show you some tips on testing.
Hi, I'm Max. I'm the quality assurance and release engineer for the Paris AR studio, and happy to see a lot of you. As was mentioned already a few times, performance was really important for this particular project, and so we were in need of a solution that would allow us to really test the experience thoroughly on device, as opposed to just in Lens Studio. And so rather than listing the lot of bugs that this project, along with other Louvre project had, I thought it would be a good idea to outline the process of being in a capacity of remotely testing a custom location AR experience without the need to actually be at location. And so this really helps for quality assurance. We can do on-device sanity checks prior to a more comprehensive, more exhaustive testing on site. And this is particularly interesting when we're talking about an outdoor experience with the Parisian weather, which sometimes can be a bit challenging. This process of remotely simulating a custom location AR experience requires HD photo captures. So as a good practice, it's always good when you do your initial 3D scan to take a couple HD pictures of the scene. Ideally with after granting access for your device to associate the capture with geolocation, GPS coordinates, so that you can really precisely locate the location where the photograph was taken. And so this process can be achieved by faking geolocation on the device. So what I'm going to do is step-by-step demo of what it takes to fake geolocation on an Android device. Here my device is in a state where geolocation is not faked. So if I go to the snap map, for example, we can see that we are here at Station F. And so if I try to use our Luxor Obelisk lens, basically I'll be prompted to walk to Cour Carré. In this state, there is no possible way of either detecting the custom location AR scene, nor entering the surface tracking fallback mode. And so for this reason, we're going to need to fake geolocation. So that can be done by using some third-party applications widely available on the Google Play Store. I'm not going to name any. There are quite a few. You can just use keywords such as mock, fake, GPS, and so on and so forth. What is required to be in a position to fake geolocation is to enable developer mode on the device. And so that can be done by going to the Settings app on recent Android versions, then going to About Phone, and then looking for the software information until you go to the build number, the software build number. And so developer mode can be enabled by tapping 7 times. I'm about 4 steps away from being a developer. Woohoo! 7 times, and now developer mode is enabled. After enabling developer settings, I'm going to need to look for mock, and I can select here a mock location app. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to specify down the bottom of the screen that I want to select, that I want to use that third-party app to fake my geolocation. And so now we are in the capacity to actually open the third-party app and specify the exact geolocation information, entering the GPS coordinates that are associated to my capture. So that's, I can probably skip this step since we're already at Cour Carré. And now if I want to go back to Snapchat, yes, we are at Cour Carré, in the middle of the Cour Carré, precisely where my experience is going to be testable. And so now I'm prompted to point my device towards the fountain. And so because of screen dimensions restrictions, resolution restrictions here, I'm not going to be in a capacity to actually show you the custom location scene being detected. And so I'm going to switch back to our presentation where I took a screen recording of the location being detected by using the photo, the picture that you saw earlier. The custom location AR scene is detected pretty nicely. However, as I've said early on, this doesn't replace proper on-site at location testing. For example, you'll see that parallax is totally not respected. So in this case, prior to going to Go Carré, we can just do some basic functional testing that provides us a level of reassurance that bits and pieces are in place before we go to Go Carré. Thank you everyone, and see you soon.